Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. We have a really cool episode today. Wildcats Trilogy #2. Amazing art by Jae Lee. Check out that rad cover from the 90s. Jae Lee, it looks like Bill Sienkiewicz, like on acid, channeling Patrick Nagel. Can't wait to share it with you. Love this cover. Love the logo, the colors. Totally pop. All right, subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Hit like. Let's do this. Okay. Oh my god, I hate saying let's do this. Like, that's like every action movie call. So forgive me for that. Subscribe anyway. Forgive my douchery. All right? Okay. So love Jae Lee. Like, his art has way evolved. I feel like he's had like such a great evolution of art. There's like 3 stages, and this is stage #2. He went from being like sort of like a Bill Sienkiewicz, Simon Bisley hybrid, but very kind of 2D. And then he learned how to like ink himself and like do all this like spraying with ink and just like really like, I don't know, just getting weird and amazing and like just really good, leaning into it. And I feel like that was phase 2. And then, which is this, and then he became more like refined and more elegant from like his Superman Batman stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you feel me? So anyway, I love phase 2. I feel like that's my favorite evolution. Like, that's when his art was like really exciting to me. Not that his art doesn't look good now. I mean, it is definitely beautiful and elegant, but this just had some sort of energy that was just like kind of crazy and like just always fun. And I love the first issue of this. It had this really cool like foil cover. I feel like I might have done it already, or I might have it. I'll try to find it, whatever. Totally worth looking at this one for the art. Loving this blue. Like, this is my new favorite shade of blue. I'm lifting that. You hear me? Wildcats Trilogy. Image Comics, Wildcats Trilogy, Hell Hath No Fury, Brandon Choi and David Nguyen story, Jae Lee art, Joe Chiodo colors, one of the best colors of the 90s, Mike Heisler letterers, Brandon Choi and Jim Lee creators. Okay, so here we go. That is like a really cool opening page, like great landscape. Like, I don't know, I just really love the artistry, and it's like getting really scratchy. But you know, he's using like these very, like, in a way, sometimes it's almost simplistic, but the way he knows how to sort of like pull back and like just add enough sort of detail. I don't know, it's really great. And then he comes in here with this, and it's just sort of like this flat perspective, but it still has like this great amount of depth to it. And I feel like the coloring of Joe Chiodo is definitely like one of the better colors from this era. I really do enjoy his stuff. And I think that's because, you know, like, he's a painter, he's an artist himself. So I think that he definitely is bringing, you know, way more sort of talent and sort of know-how than maybe the average colorist. You know, not to knock any colorist, because, you know, a lot of colorists are artists. I mean, I do a lot of coloring myself. Anyway, loving the art. Like, Jae Lee was like just so good at, like, one of my favorite Jae Lee, you know, arts is like when he does Chapel. Like, I just love how cool that was. But I remember being so excited just by his art. And I feel like, you know, sometimes I speak about very cool grifter's mask pulled down like that. You know, like the end of the era of like sort of like superstar artists, or at least for me, like, I don't know, like, seldom am I excited as much as I am like I used to be. You know, like, of course, like, you have your cachet of like, you know, my Byrne and my Adams and my Golden and my McFarlane and all these, you know, my heroes. And I feel like Jae Lee might have been like on the end of kind of artists that I might have got that excited about and like followed to other books. A lot of great fun. It's so weird too, because I mean, in a way, like, but if you do it right, like, you have to do it right to make it look good. And like, I feel this way about Bill Sienkiewicz, who I feel obviously is a big influence here, but you can't just copy Bill Sienkiewicz. It usually comes off flat. But I think even though there is some sort of Sienkiewiczian elements to Lee's art here, it's still unique unto itself enough to still be fun and exciting and of its own merit. And I do love the coloring. Like, once again, hats off to Joe Chiodo. I always try to give him props because I really love his coloring. I have a graphic novel, I feel, by him. Like, I don't know, something about, like, a robot or... I don't know. But anyway, his art, like, you'd be surprised to see it. Very, like, almost like if J. Scott Campbell were a painting, but slightly more cartoony. Like, very... like, pretty aesthetic. Well, you can tell, I mean, from his coloring. Look at that gorgeous palette. And oh my god, Kirby dots. Oddly, the way this is, like, colored here, like, it's a little reminiscent, and that speaks to maybe Joe Chiodo probably was the colorist for Travis Charest. Another, like, can we say, like, at least Wildcats had some, like, beautiful art in its day? I mean, I love everything about this page. This is so great. The composition is so amazing, and the coloring is so great, and just, like, I don't know, perfectly on point. Very cool. Very, like, reminiscent of what I feel like towards the end of Namor is, like, when he was really starting to come into his own, and then sort of leapt over here. And then I guess what would go to Hellshock after this. Very cool looking Spartan. See, and I've said this before too, like, I feel like, and you know, Wildcats is just now, like, I feel this week had a new #1 come out, and I don't know if I'm excited about it. I don't know if, I mean, I don't know. Should I check it out? I don't know. I love the characters. I think they're great. I think they lend themselves very well to sort of like they look cool in the cartoon. I think they just look like a very cool group. They have very cool individual aesthetics and great character designs, but I don't know, maybe they just haven't been utilized well enough. So isn't this like the animated version of Voodoo's costume? I have to say, and probably just because it's the version that was used in my contribution to Brian Payne's Old Lady Voodoo story, was the voodoo with the fur boots. So, of course, I mean, if hooker boots are an option, I'm always going to go with the hooker boots. Just so you know. Love Warblade. That is so cool. I'm loving the colors here. Once again, Joe Chiodo, love your colors. So great. Would love to interview you about your colors and your art, because they're so good, and I just think you would be an interesting person to talk to about art and influence and theory and process and all that good stuff. Open invitation. Fun storytelling going on here. Yes, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. See, like, this, I feel like is like, you know, Jae Lee, like, definitely, like, I feel like, you know, when I do videos on Jae Lee, like, it gets such a good reaction as far as people having, like, such a love for this period of Jae Lee's art, and I am definitely right there with them. Like, I love it. Like, give me 900 Bill Sienkiewicz teeth there, and that is so cool. And once again, and I say this all the time, I would love to see this in black and white. Can we get this in black and white, please? Maul looking so cool there. See what I mean? Like, so iconic. Kind of making me yearn for, like, a Bill Sienkiewicz. What do you call it? Wildcats. Very cool. Like, I could just have that as a splash page right there. That is beautiful. Just the way that is colored. See a lot. I mean, I do have to say, like, you know, I don't feel like I love the Image characters in the way that I loved, you know, like the X-Men and the New Mutants and the Outsiders and Infinity Inc. and New Warriors and Cloak and Dagger and Clandestine and Dazzler and, you know what I'm saying. But Teen Titans and, but I do have, like, a definite, like, spot in my heart for these characters. Like, I was excited about them when they came out, and I did definitely, I mean, I was a fan. I picked up a lot of this stuff, especially when the art was this freaking good and cool. So cool. Oh my god. I think there was, like, one more issue, and I don't know, and I really am hoping this comes up in my collection soon, this Travis Charest, like, was beyond. Like, here's a little preview in black and white. So this is, like, kind of a perfect way to end this fun episode. Oh my God, that art was gag worthy, was it not? I'm sort of like, I feel like I'm coming down from it. But look at this beautiful Travis Charest art. Travis Charest, oh my God, evolution of the artist. Like, he just, like, burst onto the scene as sort of like this Jim Lee clone, but, like, in the most beautiful, best way possible. Like, there was, like, elements of Art Adams, which arguably there's elements of Art Adams and Jim Lee as well. So, you know, you were seeing some of that. But he definitely brought this sort of, I don't know, greatness, which would evolve into sort of, like, beyond this point of this sort of sometimes simplicity in his composition, which I feel like you're sort of seeing there. Sometimes some minimalism, the way the feet sort of dissolve. And, like, sometimes he would just draw, like, shapes, but, like, and become less rendered than this. But look how freaking beautiful this is. And I'm sure we're owing a lot because, like, especially in this era of Image Comics, like, the inking was just, like, next level, like, beyond, like, masterclass artistry. And this is Scott Williams, you know, Jim Lee's inker. So I don't know, you can just tell, like, I feel like Travis Charest was, like, immediately one of those artists that you know, it got fan recognition and peer recognition, and people just loved his art so much. And how could you not? Like, look at how gorgeous this is. Oh my God, like, dying to want to read this. And I mean, I remember, like, reading the hell out of it and just, like, looking at this art over and over again. Probably even just this preview, this black and white preview. Like, you can just see, like, the level of, I mean, plus, I mean, of course, we're still seeing at this point, like, the Jim Lee clonism is there. But dare I say, is this almost a better version of Jim Lee than Jim Lee? Like, it's hard because I've never felt that way before. Because you know, like, Jim Lee's Jim Lee. Like, there's a lot of great clones, but, you know, none as good as him. And arguably, like, is J. Scott Campbell, like, a little bit of a Jim Lee clone with, you know, some Disney thrown in. And it's so interesting because this is Gen 13 coming. It was originally called Gen X, but for obvious reasons, they had to change it. Arguably, I feel like this is one of those situations, and I feel that way with the Bedrock situation. Like, I feel like Bedrock is a way cooler name than Bedrock anyway, so I feel like, you know, it worked out better for Rob Liefeld that he couldn't use Bedrock because of the Flintstones. And I feel like Gen 13 is sort of more iconic and more, like, definitely separates it and makes it weigh something unto itself. And, like, I love Gen 13. I was a huge fan. Like, J. Scott Campbell's art, and he went by Jeffrey Scott at the time. But I think by the time the first issue came around, he was going by J. Scott Campbell. And obviously, you know, one of the best artists of our generation. One of the great sort of second, maybe third tier artists to come. Because I feel like, well, no, maybe second tier artists. I don't know. Not tier, but, you know, sort of wave in a way. Sort of like, I don't know, under the mentors. But Wizard Magazine, Simpsons, Sky Cats, Jim Lee, Voodoo. I do love Voodoo. What can I tell you? Ripclaw. This is, I mean, that art is really cool. So beginning Wildcats 6. I have to say, looking back at this, like, I don't know if it was how I felt about it at the time, but I really hate all these fonts on this lettering. And, oh, I hate that this has a rip. Oh, no. Oh, good. It's not ripped. It's the, it was from the backing board. You know, it's such a dicey proposition. Oh, my God. I feel like I just did something like the comic book version of Dr. Pimple Popper or something. Like, I don't know if the audience, you guys, were on pins and needles like I was when I see there's a little bit left. But I want you to know that it can be removed. I think I have too much anxiety now to do it because I do hate this font. Like, I don't think it held up at all. I think it's hard to read and it's a shame. Like, I don't know. But anyway, really cool. Hopefully this comes up too, this crossover looking looking good and feeling fine. This is like such a magazine cover. I just think this is done so well. It looks like high fashion elegance. I love it. Eleganza. It looks like Linda Evangelista. Super cool. Wildcats Trilogy number 2. Beautifully illustrated by Jae Lee. Gorgeously colored by Joe Chiodo. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and I'll bring you more later.